mapping the dorsal wall and why we do that. Now, we map the dorsal wall so that we can get the hoof capsule here to be shaped like the inner foot. Because what happens is, a lot of times this side of the toe here can grow up so that it's like this, all right? And it can also grow too long this way so that you have too much of a horse retained sole. Your dorsal wall can be like this, but it can get like this and like this. And the thing is, it grows forward, right? So if it's this much too long, then it's going to be this much too forward too, right? So we want to find the right length of the dorsal wall for the inner foot. So we're learning about the dorsal wall, why we need to map the dorsal wall, because the wall can get too far forward. If it's too far forward, it's going to be too long like this, unless it really flares and your foot falls to the ground there. Okay, so next to having your heels trimmed out, which takes all the stability away from the wall, one problem that people really have is the sides of the toe here. Okay, so that it's not shaped like the inner foot here. When I started doing this, what I would do was I saw what this foot looked like here and how it was less over here. So, okay, so I just want you to look at the inner foot, at the shape of it when you're looking at it forward like that. Look at the shape, how this goes down like that, and this goes kind of up like that, right? Her dorsal wall I had mapped and pretty much straightened out, but it used to be where the wall, this wall can grow out and be longer here, and you don't even know it because the foot hides it. I'm going to measure this inner foot to the top where the hairline would be. And this mare, she's your standard size quarter horse. This was Molly. From the sole corium, you see the sole corium starts right down there. The foot is dried out, so the sole corium is dried out. But from the end of the sole corium up to the hairline, 2 3/4 inches. And the coffin bone itself to the end of the hairline there, not quite 2.5. So you want to have at least, ultimately what you're wanting to build up is about 3 to 3 1/4 to even 3.5 inches eventually, once your walls get correct and once the sole gets correct. Gino Vanek found that the length of these dorsal walls, even in the big horses, wasn't that much longer. When we map the dorsal wall, this is just a guideline. When I first started doing it, I would take the wall down a lot and my horse would be sore because I wasn't understanding really what I was doing. I mean, ultimately it worked and she wound up having better feet than she'd ever had. I kind of made some mistakes when I was trying to do this and kind of over trimmed because I didn't understand this wall here can be added to. Okay, look at here. From here to here, you can have wall that is added in, extra wall added into the capsule that pushes up the coronary band right here. And you can still have thin sole. So what I was doing was I would measure this dorsal wall like so, and then I would go over 2 inches here, and then I would measure 1/4 inch shorter, and then I would rasp that down to my line that I made. Well, I was really thinning out her sole here and making her sore. Because what was happening was now some horses, they will get thick sole here, and it will get forward and it'll get thick and things like that. But a lot of times what you have is you don't have a real thickness of sole. What you have is you have excess wall that has jammed up this way. A lot of times what you're going to want to do when you're correcting this, because the wall over here does need to be 1/4 inch shorter to follow the shape of this internal foot. But instead of just rasping it down and really thinning, look at that. I mean, that foot's right there, right? Okay, instead of rasping it down, okay, what you need to do is if you just bevel over to the white line. You have hoof wall that has jammed up in here. Now, when you guys took your pictures and you have a picture of the front of this foot and you look at these growth rings, you might notice that in some cases, instead of being symmetrical, they raise up like this, and the wall raises up in the hairline right here. Well, that is jammed up wall that's been jammed up like that. So what you're doing by coming in here, you might leave some of the wall in the toe and in the quarter, and you go through a period where you're just going to bevel the quarter back to the white line. Then you're going to come out in a few days and you're going to see that the wall up here has dropped down. And that way you're also not thinning out the sole here. So at first when I was doing this, I would map the dorsal wall here. Okay, and what you do is you come up right up under the hairs here, and you're just gonna see how long your wall is. Then you're gonna, from the center, you're gonna go over 2 inches, and then you're gonna follow the horn tubule down, and you're gonna measure it over here, and that should be about 1/4 of an inch shorter, but you're not really marking it. You're just kind of seeing how long it is for now, because see, I don't really mark them yet. I will measure them when I'm doing the rest of the mapping, but then I'm going to trim the whole bottom of the foot. Then I will come back after I've done that, and then I will check to see if, like the sides here, if I got a jamming problem here, or I got excess wall or what, and then I will check those mapping lines to see if this is about 1/4 inch shorter over here than the wall is right here. And then I will semi-know if my trim and my hoof capsule is kind of following the shape of the inner foot. You see, I'm not trying to give you an exact measurement for this wall here. I'm just trying to give you a measurement that will help you get within the general anatomical perimeters of this foot. You know, I'm sure you've all seen, and you probably have horses like this, where this wall here on the sides, it's higher even than the toe. But now you can look at this foot and you can tell that the wall has to be reduced and follow the shape of the internal foot. So when you're mapping, and I'm going to post some more videos where I map the whole foot. And when you're mapping, you're going to want to look at this. Like again, too, you measure it, but you're also looking here. Is it pushed up right here? That would mean that you have excess wall here, pushing the coronary band up. This coronary band can be pushed up about 1/2 inch to where it won't push anymore. On a fresh foot, you can move it back and forth like this. So when the wall gets jammed up here, it'll push that coronary band up, and you can have, instead of the hairline, well, see, and you can see on her where it was pushed up just a little. See that? See how I can feel it too. I can feel a lump right there. See there? Now, the coronary band itself is not like that. That is excess wall jamming right there in the pillar. Now, look at this. Okay, see the growth rings in this foot? See how they go up like that? I trimmed this horse before I knew this deal. I was doing pillars, okay, but I didn't understand really this kind of aspect that I'm trying to show you now. Sophie Farina is asking, would beveling help that? When I showed you guys the trim, what I showed you was when you're finishing that foot, okay, you're going to bring the dorsal wall, or the toe right here. Okay, you're going to bevel that back to the white line. Then on your pillar right here, side of the toe, you're going to bring that down almost to the level of the sole, or just barely to the level of the sole on both sides. Then in your quarter, and there's a reason for all this too, specific reason for each type of bevel you're putting on this foot. Again, you're going to go like this, and you're going to bring it back to the white line. Then when it comes to your heels, okay, remember, never ever rasp like this, because you're going to lower these heels in a way you don't want to. You want to precision rasp these heels where you're looking down at them from the side and you're coming over like this, and your heel buttress here, you've got your heel buttress marked, and you're paying attention to that mark. You're not going to come in there and go past that mark, see? And you got to learn to precision rasp down this whole heel area here without actually lowering the buttress itself. In this case, when you find that you think you have some jammed up pillars, and look at, you can really see that. See, right here, goes up like that and up like that. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to go through, like you do one session where you rasp the foot just like I told you, okay? You know, because you're kind of leaving some wall here that, see the heels and here, okay? You have not got beveled over to the white line when you do that. Remember, and I have you finish off that and round everything off a little bit. Okay, but let's say I know I have jammed pillars. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a session where I'm going to kind of leave some of this toe. I'm not going to leave it higher than the sole, okay? But I'm going to leave a wall next to the toe, and I might leave the wall here as well, a little more. But then I'm going to take this pillar right here, clear over at a bevel like this, clear to the white line, right there on both sides, okay? Then I have still left some wall next to the sole to help support that horse, because most of our horses do not have very good sole, so they are needing more support from the wall. So I'm still leaving. I'm not going to take a whole lot from the toe or the quarters that time, but that time I am going to take these pillars, sides of the toe, clear back to the line. Okay, that's going to give room under here. Wall, so you can see how that wall is jammed up there? See how that goes like that? That's going to give room under here at the ground level for, without taking any sole. That's going to leave room for just this pillar right here to drop down to excise the excess capsule out of the foot. And you'll come back in like 2, 3, 4 days, and you'll pick that foot up where you beveled that wall clear over to the white line there, all right, at a very pretty steep angle. You're going to come out and it's going to be almost flat, like you never even beveled it, because it has pushed this out of the wall. Now, of course, this, we're not talking here on dealing with these jammed up pillars, or sometimes, you know, they'll get square and out like this. We're not talking about a horse that has retained sole or a lot of wall. And sometimes even in horses that have very long hoof wall here, their foot can still be really close to the ground, because again, what has happened is usually they're kind of flared like that and the foot has dropped to the ground. So as I explained this in the last one, how, okay, like this is a foot, see, it's picked up off the ground, but as your wall flares, the foot falls to the ground. Or also, if you have a horse that has been walking on its hoof walls for a long time, then it pushes down, it's called, what is distal descent? Now, whether the foot is falling down through or whether the walls are being pushed up, it's a combination of both of them. So there are little details that you kind of have to learn about this. Put up some more videos and stuff of mapping the dorsal wall. And I also have pictures, I'm pretty sure, on the illustration. I want to put video up, though. I mean, I've got a lot of video. It's just finding time to edit it all and get it all out there for you. Okay, this was Toby. And you can see, now see how he was jammed up here? See the growth ring? Okay, now look at the difference. See, I had learned this about Molly's foot. See the difference in the growth rings from learning about that? Okay, look at here. You can really see how he's jammed up here. See there was this foot. But look how sharp that is up there. That can get really sharp. See?